Breaking news out of Tempe. 2 people are seriously injured after police say they were hit by a truck. This is a live look at the scene. University Drive and Dorsey Lane, basically on the east side of the ASU campus, kind of in an area surrounded by apartments and student housing there. Police tell us the driver of the truck ran away initially, but officers were able to find the driver and arrest them. The 2 pedestrians were taken to the hospital. University going west, as you can see right now, is still closed as police investigate, and you can see some wreckage and possibly belongings of the 2 people who were hit. So again, 2 people hit by a truck. The driver has been detained in Tempe at University Drive and Dorsey Lane, and there are restrictions on University right now. Tonight, new developments in the case of a missing Indigenous girl who was found violently murdered. A $75,000 reward is now being offered to anybody with information about who killed 14-year-old Emily Pike. Thank you for joining us. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra in studio with how the community is working to get this killer off the streets and keep other young girls safe. Gabby?
Well, Troy, really, they just want to spread awareness, and tribes from across Arizona are offering support to the family and loved ones of Emily Pike, telling them that they're not alone. We're also learning tonight that the San Carlos Apache tribe is commissioning an independent study looking at ways to prevent new cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women.
Say her name!
Emily Pike!
This group will not stay silent.
We are not afraid to speak out against what's wrong.
And they're hoping the person with answers about Emily Pike's murder won't stay silent either.
Speak up, because they need to be brought to justice.
The 14-year-old San Carlos Apache teen went missing in late January after leaving a group home in Mesa. She was last seen walking in the area of Mesa Drive and McKellips Road. Nearly 3 weeks later, Pike's remains were found on Valentine's Day in a wooded area outside of Globe.
She represents too many of our young women.
Pasquayaki tribal members walked and prayed for Pike on Sunday.
We're not from the same tribe, but we are connected.
As the search for Pike's killer becomes more widespread.
We stand with them and that we feel their pain.
The San Carlos Apache Reservation is offering a $75,000 reward to anyone with information that leads to an arrest in her case.
And it's encouraging to know that hopefully that people won't be afraid to speak out.
The month of May will also be dedicated to honoring the memory of all tribal members who are missing or murdered. In a statement, Chairman Terry Rambler says in part, this will be a time to stand with all families that have lost a piece of their soul to this crisis. This is a time to work together to resolve unanswered questions.
We're hoping that we can bring awareness and justice for not only Emily, but all missing people that need that help.
And anyone with information about Emily's case is asked to contact investigators. There are several different agencies working this case, including the Gila County Sheriff's Office. All of that contact information is on 12news.com. Troy?
And they haven't shared, Gabby, any leads they may have in this case or anything people should be looking for or anything like that.
All they know is where she was last seen, and from there, the rest is a mystery to them.
All right. Gabby, thank you for that. Family and friends gathering to find any information that could bring a missing Mesa teen home. A 16-year-old Virginia Wood goes by the name of Gigi, was last seen Friday near Stapley and McKellips. Her family says she didn't take her phone with her. She was planning on meeting somebody who she had met online. She has blue eyes and blonde hair, long nails with rhinestones. If you have any information, you're asked to call Mesa Police. This afternoon, a deadly crash shut down the route back from Las Vegas to the Valley. DPS telling us 1 person died in the crash on US 93 just north of Wickenburg. 2 vehicles involved in that crash. Troopers are still investigating what led up to it, but they say now all lanes have reopened tonight. Troopers identify the 2 people killed in this awful crash, fiery and deadly pileup on I-40 that happened on Thursday. 55-year-old Juan Beltran Sanchez and 64-year-old Evelyn Davis were in one of the 22 cars caught in this fiery crash. 16 people taken to the hospital with injuries. DPS said at the time of the crash, the road was covered in snow and ice, was very slick, and that caused a semi to jackknife and block that road. Several cars were rear-ended, and some ended up underneath those tractor trailers. And again, 2 people killed. On Wednesday, the state of Arizona is scheduled to execute an inmate for the first time in over 2 years. Aaron Gunches will be put to death for murder and kidnapping. But this story isn't just about him. It's also about the man he killed, Ted Price, and the family Ted Price left behind. A family that's been dealing with the loss, the trials, and now likely the final outcome for 23 years.
You know, I have sympathy for all of the families that have to go through this, because the initial murder of your loved one is just the beginning.
Karen Price knows that firsthand. Her brother Ted was killed back in 2002 by Aaron Gunches, who's scheduled to be executed for the crime on Wednesday morning. Ted was Karen's big brother.
He was a kind person. You know, he was always sympathetic to people who had less than him. You know, not every person has those qualities, but he did.
Karen says Ted was living out of state, but came back to Arizona to find his ex-wife, named Kat, hooked on meth and living in squalor with her 2 children who he cared about.
Ted threatened to turn Kat into CPS for what was going on. And Kat called the drug dealer, Aaron Gunches, that was her drug dealer, and said, you know, my ex is here. He's making noise about turning him into CPS. That cannot happen. You need to come take care of this. So his solution was take Ted out into the desert and kill him.
Kat was never put on trial for the murder. Gunches was found guilty, given the death penalty. 23 years after she lost her big brother, Karen, who lives on the East Coast, says she needs to be here when Gunches is executed.
And I feel like I have to see this through. I have to be there for Ted, representing the family for this last action.
Anti-death penalty forces across the country have been successful in delaying executions with different strategies, like questioning the drug protocol used and calling lethal injection procedures cruel and unusual punishment. What do you say to people who are anti-death penalty?
So I've said this before, walk a mile in my shoes and then let's have a conversation about it. Because you don't know what it feels like to have a family member murdered until it happens to you.
I texted with Karen today. She just welcomed a brand new grandchild into the world, but she says it looks like she is going to make it out here to Arizona from the East Coast to witness. And I've also been chosen as a media witness to this execution, so I'll have full coverage of what happens before and after on 12 News this week. My entire conversation with Karen Price is available to watch right now on 12 Plus. When you get there, go to the Troy Hayden Report section if you'd like to watch that.